Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about texture removal in plastics. And so definitely a topic that's been discussed before, as well as we've had a couple of questions about it. So we figured we'd shoot a quick little video, show you guys what you need to do to remove the texture in plastics. And so of course we've got some steering wheel covers that go here for a car that a customer has sent us, just like this right here, and they want it to look pretty much like glass smooth, very nice, smooth, glossy look to it. The problem is, of course, that it has a texture in it. And so with the texture, you definitely need to make sure that it is completely removed before you start doing any work to it. In this case right here, we're going to do some carbon fiber work to it. So it's going to be really cool, but we need to make sure that that surface beforehand is completely smooth, or else it's going to show through on the actual carbon fiber dip, or any type of dip that's going to be like that, or even in paint, especially if you're doing like a silver metallic or something like that, that's going to show a lot of those defects or the texture. That will definitely show up really really good. So you definitely want to make sure that you smooth all that out. So quick little recap here, and then we'll kind of get into this. Whenever you have texture like this right here, a lot of the times what you want to do is you definitely want to prep it out correctly, so that way the primer can actually bond into the plastic. And so a lot of the times what we'll do is we will take and we'll sandblast all of these areas all the way around. Once we got everything sandblasted, then you can also come back with anywhere between 220, 320, even around 180 grit sandpaper, and sand a lot of these larger areas out. And so mainly all we're doing is we're just knocking that top surface of that texture off of there, so then that way it helps cut that down a little bit smoother. And then once we have all that, then what we're going to do is we're going to spray an adhesion promoter over the top of the plastic. The adhesion promoter is going to help with the adhesion between the bare plastic and of course the primer that we're about to spray. And then we spray down around 2 to 3 coats of a good high build primer. Once we have that high build primer down, we'll let it cure out, let it dry, normally around a couple of hours. Sometimes it may be overnight. Of course, every primer is going to be different, so definitely go by the manufacturer recommendations on that. But then after that, then you're going to take and you're going to start sanding everything all the way around. Not a fun job, not an easy job, but if that's what the customer wants, and that's what has to be done. And so for something like this, we can normally start around 220 or 320. 220 is going to cut it a lot faster, but it's also going to make it to where you're going to have a lot more areas that are possibly going to show up that are going to be bare plastic. And so anywhere between 220 or 320 is probably going to be the safer bet. We'll hit it with 220, 320. Normally around 320 is where we like to be at, because then after we get done with everything, we come back, we spray a sealer over the top of it. Once we spray that sealer down, everything should glass out and slick out really nice and smooth. And now we're ready to go with our paint, and then our dip, and then our clear coat, and then now you have a finished product. So let's go ahead and get started and show you guys what all we're about to do with this. All right, so we've got everything already primered, and this is how everything came out. So of course we can still see we have plenty of texture all in here, but the thing about this is that we have added about 3 coats of primer on here to get it to be built up. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take anywhere between 220 to 320 grit sandpaper and go ahead and sand this thing down smooth. Now 2 to 3 coats of the high build primer should be enough, but if you start to break through a lot, then you may need to go ahead and add more primer over the top of it after it's already been sanded down, and then sand it down again. And so mainly you're wanting to build everything up and then sand it down, build everything up and then sand it down, so then that way you're pretty much filling in all the crevices in the actual texture itself and getting everything nice and smooth. And also by using the 220 grit or 320 grit sandpaper, you are able to spray a sealer over the top of everything, and then start your process with your paint, and then your dip, and then your clear coat after that. So let's go ahead. We've got some 320 grit sandpaper right here, and let's get started on sanding all of this right here. So as you can see, it doesn't take a lot of sanding to go ahead and get that all the way taken down, but it's one of those things where it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and of course a little bit of elbow grease to go ahead and sand everything out. Of course, this was a much easier surface, being it on the top of the surface, but going around these edges like this and like this, you definitely have to be careful because you don't want to burn an edge to where you go all the way through that primer very quickly, so definitely be mindful of that. Other than that though, you can see in the video here that we've got a very nice smooth surface right in here, which is exactly what we want. And so now we're going to continue on and get that smooth surface all the way around the entire part. Once we have that, then we can go ahead and start going in with our sealer, and then of course our paint from there. All right, so we've got everything all sanded down, and as you can see from the video, we still need a little bit of texture removal to get this thing completely smoothed out. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, spray it some more with a high build primer, probably another 2 or 3 coats, so then that way we know that we've got everything completely smooth. And then once we sand it down again for the final time, that'll be the last time that we need to go, and then we can start with the sealer and of course the paint and any other coating that you need to add after that. So hopefully this video has really helped you guys out. If you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks on anything hydrographics related. Also, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related, as well as if you have any other ways that you take out texture in parts or anything like that, we'd love to hear about that as well. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.